Hi again, Voyagers. Welcome back. Today, as promised, we're going to talk about Gnome extension. We are going to write a simple Gnome extension together, and I'm going through a couple of basic concepts and fundamental concepts that we need to use in our code. And so, yeah, let's go for it. Initially, I want to show you how it would turn out. So in my top bar, now this is my extension that it's enabled. And when I click on it, I have game on and game off. I cannot click on it right now because the screen gonna go black and the reconfiguration of the monitor is gonna change and it's gonna mess up my whole thing, and the recording might interrupt as well. But I do have a demo in my previous video. Please check it out. And yeah, so just a small explanation of what's going on. To make it really short, I have explained it before, but to make it really short, the super key and P, which was initially for a project, was not working well. So you have usually mirroring your screen on a projector or on a secondary screen. You might have you want to extend it, or you want to use only primary screen or a secondary screen alone. But now that my screen is not connected via my HDMI port, and it's connected through a docking station, and that docking station is connected through a USB-C PD port, that key doesn't work anymore in my Ubuntu. So I had to think of something and kind of create a similar functionality that I had before, but in a different way. And so also when I wanted to play a game like Dota, I need to have only one screen. And if I have two screens, it's going to be shaky, it's going to be flickering. It's like a game doesn't know which screen to be on, and it start to go crazy. So I have to switch to have only one screen on and have the game to be shown and displayed on only that monitor. Anyway, so that's why I started this to solve this problem, and here's the end result at the end. So I have the extension, and initially it was a bash script, which I explained before in the previous video, and now it's a extension with the game on, game off mode, which can turn off one of my secondary display, and also turn when both of them are turned on, they are in the right position as I wanted. Yeah, so let's go through the code, right? So any extension consists of 3 files, and going over the files, one is named Extension.js, and by the way, GNOME extensions are in JavaScript. So for lots of people who are familiar with JavaScript, today is your birthday. It's yeah, it's really fun to create objects and style them and stuff. So extension.js is the main code we need to write, and everything's going to be here. Lifecycle is going to be here. I'm going to go through them later on. And we have a metadata which has a unique ID, which has a name, description, the shell versions that this GNOME extension is going to work in, and the version of your extension. So this is my first version. And just a reminder, don't be perfectionist in your code. Don't try to make it like super perfect and super optimized. If it works, if it does the job, you are 99% like accomplishing the goal. So yeah, just don't have the super obsessive and perfectionist mentality in your code. Um, Unless it's something super important, like you're coding assembly on black box of an airplane who lots of people's life depend on it. So or medical device who is doing an operation on somebody's body. uh, Otherwise, if we face a problem, we can fix it in time. And um, yeah, those most of the time the obsessive mindset just gonna make us lose time, and it doesn't give us any good trade-offs at the end. Anyway, uh, and also at the end we have a style sheet. Previously it was 6 pixel, and so I had some padding around the icon I had on my top bar, but I didn't like it, so I removed it. I might add different styles later on or not. I don't know yet. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Yeah. Anyway, moving to extension.js. I want to explain a couple of the libraries that's is being used here. So we have a GI, which is kind of GNOME library. So GI provides access to GNOME libraries like GNOME lib or GNOME object, and ST, which is shell toolkit. We are going to use each one of them, and we got a UI.main, which give us access to main GNOME UI elements. We got a UI panel menu, help us in creating custom panel menu items. We got a misc util, which is a utility function like spawning a process. So since we are going to click on a button and we're gonna send technically call a command in a shell or a bash, we need a process to be running, and we'll get there and I'll explain more. And we also have a pop-up menu, helps us to create a pop-up menu items. So the pop-up menu is just, it's this box here, and the items are in it, and we're going to add them one by one. And yeah, so you need to create the pop-up menu first and add the items to them. It's you need to do them step by step. So we are going to do that. Just a brief explanation of GNOME object. GNOME object is the base object system used in GNOME. It allows the creation of classes and objects in a way that integrates with GNOME framework. One of the first thing that we need to use from GNOME object is register class. By registering a class, it allows us or allows the extension to be used in GNOME environment. So technically, we are kind of creating an extension called display switcher, and we are registering the class display switcher to be able to use it in GNOME environment. So be able to recognize it from different places in the GNOME environment. And this class is extending from panel menu buttons, so we need to use the button later on. What does underscore init function do is call the constructor of parent class. So technically it will call a parent class, the GNOME object, and call the constructor in that. So it kind of preload the extension, and technically it sets up our the icon that we're going to use, and the button and the menu items and stuff like that. super._init00 and then display setup switcher. So 00 is the position index. So it tells us the highest and the left, actually, yeah, the most left place in the status area in our top bar, which is between the clock and the farmost right, where we find restart and shutdown and stuff like that, the battery percentage and stuff. So yeah, it's going to be far leftmost and highest, 00, so top corner. And the name of the extension gonna be display setup switcher. There will be some logs here and there. It helps us to track the logs in journal.ctl, so we can look up to these logs and where our extension is loaded or enabled or disabled, changing life cycles in general, inside journal.ctl. And if we might get to that part as well. Here we're just defining a new icon. The icon is the name of the icon is preference desktop display symbolic. I did not make that up. It's the actual name that it's getting this icon from Shell Toolkit. You saw the icon before, and I'm going to show you again. The icon looked like this, and yeah, we're kind of using a system built-in icons. So yeah, and then we created icon. We are adding this child icon to this, which this is the extension itself. System status icon is the class we are giving to it, which is the same as the one that is used here, so we can style it from here. Yeah, and then we are going to create an item called GameOnItem from a pop-up menu, and we are going to call the connect function. And what connect function is, we can define a state, which is activate here, and a callback function attached to it. So when we say when the item is activated, call this callback function. And activated here means pressed on. So when we click on our item, it's gonna call that callback function. And that callback function, first of all, it logs game on pressed, and then we'll try to spawn a process, call the shell, give it a command, and that command is setting up our display. So here the first display is going to be off, and the second display is going to be with this details. I have thoroughly explained the command before in the previous video. I'm gonna post it up here, so you can actually up here, so you can check it out if you want. The only thing that has changed from then is the rate, hertz rate. I have added. So it's the so this display, the primary one that I wanted to keep turned on here, is 75 hertz. So it can technically show 75 FPS at max to me. So that's why I have wanted to include that, because I found some bugs that if I don't put it on, yeah, some bugs gonna happen. So, and if there was any error, we're gonna catch that error here. And so extension menu, add menu item. So we're gonna add the game on items to the menu item by this line. It's the same thing for the game off item. Pretty much the same thing. It's just the command that we're giving to the shell to be run is just different. Both of the displays are on, and the second one I have, it's a 60 hertz display. Again, the positions I have also explained in the video. You can check it out. I have changed this from the last video. So now I want my horizontal display to be in the middle, and vertical display to be in the middle of my vertical display, and it's kind of like a T rotated, something like that. Previously it was at the bottom or at the top. I don't remember actually. I think it was at the bottom. Yeah. Now it's in the middle. It's your preference, right? You can do whatever you want. And at the end, the important thing, one of the important things I wanted to mention here, and the last one actually, is the lifecycle functions. Manage the extension's state and UI elements. So there are 3 lifecycle to the extension. Extension is either initiated or loaded, it's enabled and it's kind of in use and you can see it, or it's disabled. So initiated means initializes the extension but does not add any UI elements. So it's kind of loaded, but you cannot see it in your top menu. Enabled, it's when it's enabled, you can the buttons and everything is going to be added, the menu is going to be added, the icon and everything going to be in there. And cleanup is just removed everything from the top bar, so you don't see any UI. Yeah, and so we have to call the init function. It's going to be called once, and we're just going to log that it's initiated. And then we have the enable function, which we are enabling. And yeah, and then we have a disable function. These are pretty straightforward boilerplate kind of thing, so I'm not gonna go over. You can kind of copy paste them and use them. It just replace the name of your extension, but technically the indicator is the icon on top, and then we are kind of saying that we're creating the extension to the indicator and passing the indicator to the status area with the name of our extension. And when we're done with it and we want to disable it, the indicator going to be destroyed and going to be set to null. Yeah, so that's it. I just want to go over something else with you before we are done, and that is enabling and disabling. So I can first of all I can say Gnome extension list, and it will list all the Gnome extension I have. This one is mine, so I'm gonna copy the name, okay, and then I'm gonna say Gnome extension disable, and then paste the name. And if we keep looking at this one here, it's going to be omitted. Now it's removed. Now it's not there anymore. And if we enable it again, enable, it's going to be on top again, loaded. So technically, when you're done, when you're done writing, you can just enable the command. Enable the extension. And there's one other thing I wanted to show you. If I check my history, because I don't remember exactly the command, so I'm not gonna just guessing it. I'm gonna go history and pass it to less, and I want to search for journal. Yes, so journal ctl user bin gnome shell -f. So I'm going to clear the screen up and I'm going to paste it here. So when we run this, it's going to show you the logs that we have in our extension. So for example, this one of the extension, by the way, have a problem. So I have to find out which extension is causing this promise try and catch error. But this is not the same extension that we just saw. So the same extension, here it is. So it's a display setup switcher extension enabled, initializing, and then initialized. So this is how you can catch the errors you might get when you want to debug your extension and when you're writing it, because you might just enable and terminal doesn't show you anything else. You'll have no standard output in your terminal saying if it's enabled or not, if it's working or not. And even if it's working and it's enabled and it's fine, and when you click on it and try to interact with it, you might face problems. And here is how you can catch those errors. So make sure you use journal ctl /user/bin gnome shell -f. So that was all for today. Thank you for watching. Please like if you liked the video so far, if it was useful to you. If you want to see more of these small tips and commands and tricks, if you like Ubuntu and Linux in general, we are same like-minded people probably, and we probably gonna have much more fun later on. So that's all. Thanks again for watching this far and to the end of the video. Please don't forget to subscribe, and thank you so much, and hope to see you soon. Have fun.